Today's video is going to be creating a spooky scene using the Peeking Witch from Hero Arts. One thing I have found that I really like is taking die cuts like this and adding color to them with my markers. So I am starting out with the Peeking Witch and also that bat, and I die cut it from Deluxe white cardstock. Now I'm going to use my alcohol markers to color them in. I'll be using my Olo markers, but you can use Copics, you can even watercolor with these. To me, it creates a very artistic look, almost like no-line coloring. So I decided I'm going to do the hat in some dark grays. So I brought that out and I'm adding 3 different colors or 3 different shades of gray to have my dark, medium, and light tones. I'm going to have the darkest area or the shadow area of the hat be on the left-hand side and then have that kind of get brighter as it gets towards the right-hand side. I'm also going to color in the cape using those same colors. I started by adding a line right under the elbow and then following along that line that the die creates. Then I can blend that out. Now I really had debated. There are quite a few different color combinations you can do with this. You could have maybe a green cape or a purple cape. So many different colors. I decided to just kind of simplify it and have the cape match the hat. I'm also going to use these colors to do the collar. And then I'll also color in the bat because I wasn't sure at first if I was going to add the bat or not, but I figured it'd be great to just have it colored just in case. That way it's ready for my card project. And then for the hair, I am going to give my witch some bright orange hair, which is completely inspired by the movie Hocus Pocus because it's one of my favorite Halloween movies. I'm taking the darkest color, adding the shadow right under the brim of the hat, and then along those lines that the die created. Then I'm going to take my medium color, blend that out, and then I'll have my lightest color to add some highlights in there. Then for the skin, I'm just going to use some tan colors to do the face. I thought about doing maybe like a spooky, ghostly white or even green, but I just stuck to tan colors for right now, and I let the colors kind of be throughout the outfit. So these I'm just using 2 colors. I added the shadow right next to the hairline and also right under the nose, and then using those same colors to do the fingers and adding a little bit of a shadow and then blending out, which makes it look super creepy and I love it. Now for the outfit, this one I really debated about green or even a maroon, kind of going with the Hocus Pocus theme, but decided to go for purple. So I added that to the brim of the hat, and then that is going to match the outfit. So I added some shadow areas. Anything that is overlapping, I try to add my shadow area to, or for instance, the bottom side of the arm is where I'm going to add that darkest color and then blend out to show that contrast and give it some highlighted areas. Now back when I had my gray markers out, I had taken kind of the middle one, the medium gray color, and colored in the eye. So just kind of going through and finishing off the top portion of the shirt. And I really love how this came out. These I think are just so cool looking, and it's great how you can add your own detail to these. Now my idea for this card is I wanted her peeking out from something. You know, she looks mischievous, so I wanted her to kind of peek out from somewhere. And I am bringing in one of my favorite dies, which is the Arches die. I picked out one of the frames and I'm going to die cut it out of the center of my cardstock, which is pitch black. So here you can see I'm kind of testing it out. I lined her up. Love how she's looking, but I wanted to create a background. So I am putting her in a creepy castle using the brick stencil, and I'm going to ink blend. I think this is the charcoal ink. There's charcoal and granite. And I'm going to start with the lightest of the 2 colors using my blending brush to add that color in, kind of testing it out. You don't have to do the entire piece of cardstock because a lot of it is going to be covered up by your window. Then I'm going to bring in the darker color. You could even use black, or maybe you could put some yellow in the center if you wanted to show like a glow in the background. So I really wanted it to have this creepy look where it's kind of darker on the edges and lighter towards the inside. And then once I remove the stencil, I'm going to go back over that area with my blending brush to really tone down that white because brick walls aren't stark white. They don't look this pretty. So I kind of dirtied that up with my blending brushes. I'm testing this out with my frame. and kind of bringing in my witch. She's going to be kind of tucked in and just enough where her hand is going to be sticking out. And I decided to do a double frame. So I brought in a dark gray cardstock. I brought in also a smaller arch die and lined that up in the center. So then I can just remove my top frame, hold that down with some Post-it tape, and die cut out that second one. So we're going to have a larger frame and a smaller frame, and they will line up on top of each other. And I think that really helps kind of build up the scene. Now I needed to kind of fill in my scene. I didn't want to be just plain in the background. So I went digging through my stash and I found the die cut set Halloween icons. And there is a kettle, a cauldron, her cauldron. And I'm going to just quickly color that in with my gray markers, kind of have it be so that the darkest areas are on the outside and then the lightest area will be in the center. And I am kind of making a mess, which is why I have some scratch paper underneath to catch all of my extra marker that I'm scribbling on. Now you can't have a cauldron without bubbles coming out of it. So I brought in my circle die. I'm using the smallest circle in that set, and I am going to die cut out some bubbles from Kiwi Cardstock. I'm going to use my compact cutter, and I'm going to die cut out probably about like maybe 5 or 6 bubbles. I want to have enough to fill the edge of the cauldron and then also have some kind of on the outside and floating up in the air. So I came in with, I think this was a Fresh Lawn ink, just blending on one side of the bubble just to kind of show some definition to it because everything else has that light to dark contrast. I'll put my cauldron together by adding a little bit of glue to the bottom of those bubbles and tucking them in my inside of my cauldron. Then I'll have some that are going to go on the outside, and there's one that I'm going to save so that I can have it like floating up in the air. I'm going to use 2 different thicknesses of foam tape to build up my frames. So on the back of the black window, I am using a thin foam tape. I like to use my craft pick to help remove that release paper and attach this over that dark gray window. So it's going to give it just a little bit of lift, not a ton. Then I can flip this over and I'm going to use another foam tape that's just a little bit thicker. I really want to have separation when it comes to the background versus the window because I really want it to look like she's, so much going on in the background and she's peeking out at you from whatever she has hidden in here. So I lined the back of that with that thicker foam tape, and now I'm ready to start putting my scene together. So here I just took some liquid glue and I added my cauldron. I purposely put it down towards the bottom more because then I didn't have to worry about creating a floor. It just kind of has that look that it's somewhere on a floor. And then I also went in and added my extra little bubble that's floating up. Now for the witch, so I really should have probably attached her before I put my foam tape down. Works either way, but I removed the release paper of the foam tape. I added liquid glue to the back of her fingers and on the bottom of her cape, so the pieces that are going to overlap and tuck behind. I just want to really make sure that she is flush against that edge. Then I could go ahead and remove the rest of that release paper. I did add some foam tape to the back of her as well, and I centered that over the front of my card. So I am loving this scene right now and how it's coming together. And for a sentiment, I really didn't want to go with just a plain Halloween type of sentiment. So I found this one off of the Hello Fungi, and it says, hope your day is pure magic, which I thought was perfect for this scene because you think of witches, you think of magic. So I thought this was really fun. If it's somebody that enjoys Halloween, this would be a really great sentiment for them. So I'm just going to stamp this on Deluxe white cardstock using some pitch black ink. I'll make sure to stamp it again so I have a really great black impression. Then I'll take the coordinating die and line that up and run that through my compact cutter. I also die cut out about 2 or 3 more out of plain white cardstock so I could layer it together to not only add stability but build up dimension. So now I'm bringing in my bat, so I kind of went ahead and tucked that in the background. I have my sentiment here. That one, there's going to be a little bit that overhangs, and since our window is popped up with so much foam tape, I did need to add a little bit of foam to the side that's going to be kind of overlapping that window. The other side that's actually going to touch the window there on the right-hand side, I just went ahead and added some liquid glue. My last finishing touch I'm going to add to this is taking the new glow-in-the-dark lacquer pen. I thought about sparklers, but this is brand new and I wanted to try it out. And I'm just taking a little bit and adding that kind of C-shaped line of the lacquer onto my cauldron bubbles. And here is my finished inspiration card featuring the Peking Witch. I am super excited how this came out, and I love how everything just kind of came together, the sentiment, the cauldron. I really stretched my supplies to kind of fill in the scene that I needed. All of the supplies used in today's video will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thanks so much for joining.